Hey everyone, David here. To celebrate having a brand new microphone and generally being able to talk without damaging people's ears, I thought I would talk about the new starter decks. Specifically, today I want to talk about the red one, which is Nika or Monkey D. Luffy. With each deck that I do, I'm going to put them on a tier list, ranking them from S to C based on their level, and I strongly believe that alongside the new support, which is more specialized for the upcoming meta, there's also a lot of general support for older decks that I think a wide range of players is going to find really interesting. For example, you have Yellow Kid, which is a specialist deck that even after playing hundreds of games with, I still didn't feel comfortable on. I still felt like there was so much left to learn and so much more to master. And I think that people that enjoy those kind of decks will really gel with it. And then you have Sabo, which is more of an underdog type of deck that I think a lot of people are currently underestimating, and that we'll see a lot of play in the future potentially, depending on how it matches into the upcoming OP17 decks. And then we have Nika. Nika is an interesting one. This deck historically has been quite weak, not really matching up even into its generally better matchups on the higher tables because it lacks the defense, and its offense can be pretty easily curved if you simply just kill their characters. However, this new starter deck addresses a lot of issues. Starting with the first card, the new 1-cost stage, Thousand Sunny. This card allows you to search the top 5 and add a Straw Hat Crew card to your hand, which historically has been insanely powerful. The 1-cost Nami in addition to this card means that you can pretty much see a lot of your curve every single time. Both of these cards being able to look at the top 5, which is as good as a searcher can get. What really breaks this card, however, is the second half of the effect, which allows you to every single turn add a rested Don to your leader or a Monkey D. Luffy. This effect is incredibly strong, not only allowing you to always activate your leader effect as long as this card is on the field, but also allowing you to buff anything, any turn, for no additional commitment other than having this 1-cost card on the field. This might be one of the strongest searches ever created, and for that reason I think this card is definitely S tier, if not the best card out of all of these starter decks combined. Other notable uses of this card are in RG Luffy, which historically has its weakness of needing to attach one Don to leader, essentially putting them an entire turn behind their opponent. This card completely invalidates that, as now Luffy can play his perfect curve every single game and still only attach that Don with the stage, meaning he has access to all of his Don every turn. And I really think this card is going to be in pretty much every deck that can run it going forward at 4 copies without question. Moving right along, the next card that we are looking at is Sanji. This card is deceptively strong in my opinion, but it's very specifically saved by the fact that on its on-play effect, you draw 1 card. The issue with cards like this Sanji is that when you play out Sanji plus the card in hand from its effect, you are minusing 2 in hand. This means if you had 5 cards in your hand, after using this effect you only have 3. And while it's great to cheat something out, it's not worth usually going down in hand to play a 3000 power Sanji. However, because this card replaces itself on play, this means that the card is not only amazing for cheating out a body, but also allows you to swarm in a really card efficient manner. Not to mention there are some crazy infinite combos. For this reason, I'm giving this card a A rank, as I strongly believe that in the Nika strategy specifically, this card is going to see a lot of play in pretty much every deck at 4 copies. That being said, outside of that specific use case, there isn't really that much you can do with this card. It doesn't really fit into any of the other Straw Hat strategies. And for that reason, I think that this card's potential is a little bit capped. And the fact that it relies on having the draw effect be even remotely relevant really puts its power in the lower end, as it's only really good because you're essentially getting it for free. The third and the strongest card in this deck is the new Monkey D. Luffy, acting as a mini Krieg for the deck. If you have a total of 3 or more given Don, you can minus 1000 power for every Straw Hat card you control, and this character gains Rush. This is crazy strong, and I don't think a lot of people realize that yet. Let's say you've used your Straw Hat Crew Searcher in Thousand Sunny and Nami for a grand total of 2 Don. With no other cards on the field, your leader, your stage, your Nami, and this Luffy for a grand total of 4,000 power reduction without any other commitment to your field, which I think a lot of people are really sleeping on. This card is also relatively hard to remove. 9,000 power is a really good threshold with decks like Enel, which excel at removing 8,000 power characters. 9,000 power is actually a really good spot, requiring them to have extra resources on the field. The drawback of this card is needing to have 3 given Dawn, but when you use your leader effect in combination with the 1000 Sunny, which you will almost always have because you're always running it at 4 copies, this effect is basically free. And considering it's not even an activated effect, it's just passive, you can play this out on your 7 Dawn turn, and if you just have that 1000 Sunny on the field, the rush is active. I think this card is really strong, but personally I'm still going to keep it in the A tier because once again, I'm not sure how much play it will see outside of specifically Red Nika. Up next we have Jimbe. Jimbe, quite frankly, is just a terrible card. Although the effect to play a 1 cost from hand has historically been decent in certain decks, you can draw parallels to Yama in Enel, which is also unfortunately just an unplayably bad card. There are also just other better 5-drops to play, such as the 5-cost Rush Luffy, which I think personally will see a lot of play, as it's just generally a very solid card, being able to essentially make itself a 5-cost 7k attacker, or you can attach it to leader. You can do a whole bunch of fun things with that card. There are other options as well, but overall I just think Jimbe doesn't quite make the cut. I think this card's only real saving grace is the fact that it has counter and it has blocker, but we even have better blockers with counter in the same set. So overall I'm going to give this card a C tier. I think if you're looking at building a more serious Luffy deck, you won't be using this card, unfortunately. Even though I do like the art, it does look pretty nice, but it's just not what this deck needs in any capacity. And finally, we have the Brook, which, as a 2-cost blocker, allows itself to become a 2-cost 6,000 power blocker, which is absolutely nuts. This has the same condition as the Luffy, where you need 3 or more given Dawn. Now, at first, this actually seems a little difficult to achieve, but just like the Luffy, if you simply have stage, you attach 1 rested Dawn to leader with the stage, and then the leader ability to attach 2 more rested Dawn. This means that you will always have this effect active, making this card just insanely good value. It is very annoying though that you're not even able to play this off Jimbe, which is absolutely ridiculous. It was like the whole point of the synergy, and it's just not there. It really feels unfortunate that it was designed that way. But just by itself, this card is incredibly powerful, and I will be running it at 4 copies, giving it also an A tier. Overall, I think that the Red Luffy Starter Deck is really strong. Fingers crossed it doesn't get sculpted to oblivion because it does have Monkey D. Luffy in it. I do think that a lot of casual players and even professional players will consider this deck. The tools are very versatile, you can use them all over the place, such as the stage in RG Luffy, pretty much giving that deck an entirely new playstyle, being able to see all its tools and have its leader effect basically put them an entire turn ahead of where they were before. Quite frankly, I think this is a overall A tier starter deck. It has 1 stinker card, and the rest I think will all see play. I had a lot of fun playing this as well. Obviously it does have its weaknesses. Versus Enel, it still struggles, but if Enel does see any sort of hit in a ban list, I think this deck will do pretty decently into it. It also struggles with decks that are really good at stalling, specifically those that abuse Electrical Luna. Unfortunately, Luffy is 7 costs, which means it will be stunned alongside pretty much everything else in your entire deck, outside of some chosen top end like maybe Roger or Dragon. But overall, I think this deck is just really strong. I think a lot of people will enjoy it, and I think it's a good bang for your buck if this is the first deck that you're interested in playing the One Piece trading card game.